Yo, what's happening, everybody? It is your boy, Earth Mac, the Mad Scientist, and this is Pro Wrestling Week Talk, man. This is where we come every Sunday, starting 2024, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m., with the exception of some other shows like the NFC, AFC Championship games and stuff like that, and the Super Bowl. But consistently, it will be 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about all the happenings of this week's pro wrestling every single Sunday, because hey, we got 214 subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to our YouTube channel. This is the channel where we cover everything of geek culture, whether it is pro wrestling, whether it is manga, whether it is comics, whether it is anime, you name it, we nerd it. And I know I've definitely been talking about TNA, I've definitely been talking about AEW, and obviously this is the WrestleMania season, so we're definitely going to be covering that at least once a week, and that will be on Sunday evenings live on Sunday evenings, where we talk about everything of pro wrestling. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified on all of our shows with not just pro wrestling stuff, but anime, comics, and everything else in between. Now, please support our Patreon, and to our Patreon subscribers, shout out to you guys. To the $15 tier subscribers, they have early access to our videos before we post them on YouTube, as well as shows that we never will post on YouTube. So they actually get exclusive content in that $15 tier. Now on the $5 tier, you are able to have access to our bi-monthly digital magazine of Orange Phoenix magazine. So every other month you will be guaranteed Orange Phoenix magazine, and on the months that you do not get the magazine, you will be automatically entered into a drawing where you win cool stuff like myself, Thread Magnet, Cosplay, Mayhemmer, Brittany Savannah. We always go to these anime conventions and we tend to buy some cool stuff, and we actually have our own online store as well. So we know your pockets get a little tight. You know what I mean? Your pockets get a little tight at anime conventions because sometimes stuff is a little pricey. But hey, we buy some of that stuff and we enter you into these drawings, and you have a chance to actually win these things for free. And that's in our $5 tier and our $15 tier. So shout out to all our patrons, because at the end of the month, January, we'll be doing a random drawing and see what free items that you win. Now, this is Pro Wrestling Talk, where we talk about all things pro wrestling for this week. And this week been littered with news. You understand what I'm saying? Like, just crazy stuff. And the biggest news we got to cover is the departure of Kazuchika Okada. Okada is definitely a staple in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is a huge blow for Njpw. I am a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, but Okada has definitely been the staple. I'm not going to claim that I am a super expert in Okada, but I've seen a slew of his matches, and all of his matches to me have been bangers. And one of the very first matches that I've seen was him and Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, and they put on a banger. I mean, they wrestled for like, what, 45 minutes to an hour, and it wasn't even an Iron Man match. This was a regular championship match. And for a while, I argued that that's the best match I have ever seen. You know what I'm saying? I was completely floored with that. Then I come across a legitimate Iron Man match and with Bryan Danielson and MJF, and say that is the greatest Iron Man match I have ever seen. I know a lot of people put Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels up there, but that particular one overtakes it. But that's neither here or there. Okada is definitely in the Mount Rushmore when it comes to New Japan Pro Wrestling, if he's not number one. So it is a huge blow for those guys. But I'm gonna definitely jump into some news here. Just hold on just 1 second. Now, New Japan Pro Wrestling's official website announced the following: Kazuchika Okada will be leaving the New Japan Pro Wrestling after the conclusion of his contract that ends on January 31st, 2024. Now, we apologize to fans for the abrupt nature of this announcement, but join them in wishing Okada the very best in his future. Now, as the New Beginning series begins this weekend, Okada will appear on February dates on February the 11th in Osaka, and February 23rd and 24th in Sapporo. Changes will be made to forthcoming cards, with an announcement to follow. We appreciate your understanding and continued support. And a statement by Okada. He says, I have nothing but gratitude for having been part of New Japan Pro Wrestling since 2007 and for the New Japan Pro Wrestling bringing me from a 19-year-old kid off the plane in Mexico to the rainmaker I am today. Thank you to the best of companies in the NJPW, to the best of opponents that I've been able to face here, and to the best of fans that have cheered and booed over the years. I promise to make it rain in every match I have left. So keep watching. So again, this is a used blow for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, the thing is a bidding war on the way, right? So now you got someone as prolific as Okada. Like, this guy is the #1 free agent after January 31st, 2024. And I mean, it's a no-brainer that AEW is the front runner for Okada, but that doesn't really count WWE out because Triple H and Shawn Michaels both have expressed interest in bringing Okada on there. And you can't, if you was Okada, you can't really go wrong with either. You understand? Like, he's the most underpaid NJPW star that is so over with the crowd of all time. You know what I mean? And that just, I know that's opinion, but he's definitely underpaid. That is fact. But if he comes over to the US, you got an AEW bidding for him. You got WWE bidding for him. And both of them have a claim, a legitimate claim to him. And I'm going to explain. So WWE has an advantage of WrestleMania. And Okada went on record to say, he will want to perform at a WrestleMania someday. That's kind of like his thing. But what do you do after Mania, though? Because Mania is only once a year. So for WWE to invest that much time in Okada just for a one-off in Mania, that's a lot in Philly. You know what I mean? That's a lot. But the advantages to the WWE is not because it is a #1 wrestling company and it's been around for 20, 30, 40 years or so case. It's because you have brand new talent with whom he's never faced. You got a slew of dream matches you can have with Okada at these said events, and it's guaranteed to sell out. I mean, you got him and Roman Reigns, you got him and Sami Zayn, you got him and Kevin Owens, and I feel like on the top of the list should be AJ Styles and Chaos Shinsuke Nakamura and all these people he's faced back in New Japan, but also people he never faced before. So there's some interest there. There's a bargaining chip for Okada. This is your chance to actually face people that you never faced before in a brand new venue. And on top of that, you get some paper. You get paid. The disadvantage, though, the disadvantage to that is that he has to move. He will more likely have to move from Japan to the US, which is something I don't think he's really keen on doing. This is just off an opinion, but I don't think he will really want to uproot from Japan and just move straight to the US, to Florida, where you may have a chance of making it, which I have no doubt that he will make it, or him resonating with the crowd. But a true pro wrestling fan, not just a WWE fan, know who Okada is. Now, we seen what happened when AJ Styles jumped into the Royal Rumble for the first time, and he was the biggest free agent signing, and the crowd went ape shit and everything else in between. Those are pro wrestling fans because they know who the phenomenal AJ Styles is. Now, that is the disadvantage. AEW's advantage is that they already have a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling and Okada. So if Okada was to sign with AEW, he still can do some dates with New Japan, but he just do it under the AEW umbrella. And AEW already has the biggest wrestling event as of last year with, All In at Wembley Stadium. So they have the attendance record. So you already have your Mania or Starrcade like event, and that could interest Okada in the biggest of ways. And on top of that, another advantage is he don't really have to uproot from Japan to work with AEW. He can fly back and forth if he wants to. He can stay in Japan if he wants to. Tony Khan really is about comfort. So I think he would do anything and everything possible to grab Okada. But AEW is definitely the front runner to land Okada. But that doesn't mean WWE is completely out the running. Like I said earlier, they have a fighting chance. Okay, Okada can't go wrong with either company. There's advantages and disadvantages of each. And he will get paid. He will no longer be underpaid. He will definitely supplement himself for the rest of his days. And last time he was in AEW, he teamed with Orange Cassidy. And from what I understood, that was really like a little testing ground to see would I fit in with the culture of AEW? Would I fit in with an episodic, TV show? Because New Japan is not really an episodic TV show that drops off every week, at least consistently where the mass viewers see it. But you got Dynamite, you got Collision, you got Monday Night Raw, you got SmackDown. Hell, you got NXT. I don't see Okada going to NXT. He's too big for that. But still yet. Now you got to go into a whole different atmosphere. So either way it goes, it's going to be a positive thing, no matter what he does. So I think honestly, as a free agent, especially in the IWC, this is the most positive that I've seen the IWC when it comes to Okada possibly landing in AEW or possibly landing in WWE. I mean, you can't go wrong either way. If I was Okada, I would definitely weigh my options. And there's always rumors about Mercedes Moné signing with AEW, or she's already signed and she just have to finish up her movie commitments. And then once she finished with that, she's all in, no pun intended, with AEW. But we don't know. Okay, we do not know. She may show up at Royal Rumble, but if she don't show up at Royal Rumble, over this weekend coming, then I mean, all signs point to her being at AEW. So only time will tell. But I wish Okada the best. Okada is one of the greats. He's one of the best there is. If you haven't seen an Okada match, I strongly encourage you to go see an Okada match. You need to subscribe to NJPW World and just go back and watch some of these Wrestle Kingdoms where Okada put on a wrestling clinic. You understand what I'm saying? Heel Okada is a menace. You understand? He is a straight up dog out here. But that's neither here or there. But we're going to jump into AEW's Resurgence. You know what I'm saying? January 2024. Feel like this is like a breath of fresh air for the AEW brand, because I would say maybe like the last half of 2023 has been good for AEW. AEW never really put on a bad event or put on like a bad show, but you feel like there was some sort of decline in popularity, you know what I'm saying, or direction, if you will. You lose Andrade, and they ended 2023 with a banger where you have the Continental Classic, which is the best U.S. tournament I have seen. It was like the World Cup of pro wrestling, but just in AEW. And just like I said in the show, like last year, what if AEW do something like the World Cup of pro wrestling? And here comes Continental Classic. Maybe AEW is listening to the Orange Phoenix show. Who knows? But I will say that they did end it with a bang. MJF dropped the title. He's been battling injuries. He has a multitude of injuries, and he's going to be away for a while. Kenny Omega is out. He's dealing with diverticulitis. He's out for a while. And then you got Adam Copeland, Bryan Danielson, the Ace, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston steering the ship that is AEW, and Samoa Joe is at the head of it. He is the AEW World Champion with the promos that he cut. But no more of your whole ass comments on social media. That Samoa Joe can carry AEW to new heights. No question about it. And just recently, within 24 hours, Tony Khan has announced that the ranking system is coming back to AEW. So you got winning matches matter. Your record matters. You got your top 5 for your international championship, your continental championship. You got your top 5 for your tag team championship, your trios championship, your AEW World Championship, the TBS championship, and the women's World Championship. Those are a lot of championships, granted, but each of them matter to a certain extent. Each of them matter. You know what I mean? So you got your top 5 rankings. I feel like that particular thing in AEW, when AEW first started, was such a unique thing. And I think they kind of got in muddy waters a little bit. I think they was too concerned with what's going on over there. Whereas when AEW first showed up, they didn't give a damn. They didn't give a shit what's going on over there. They didn't give a damn what's going on WWE. They didn't even watch the TV. They wasn't concerned about that because they was putting on banger shows. That's why other professional wrestlers that left WWE was so interested in coming over to AEW, because it was such a unique and new thing. They did stuff different. It was your alternative. And it was also great competition. WWE don't have rankings. You have, just like what Tony Khan said, people jumped on Tony Khan's ass about what he was doing on social media. Now, granted, Tony Khan do get a little crazy on social media, but what promoter doesn't? You know what I'm saying? Let me put a pin in what AEW Resurgence is, and let me address the Tony Khan situation. I had no issue with what Tony Khan said about Jinder Mahal. He just promoting, because what he does on social media, the analytics or whatever the case may be, it gets a lot of traffic coming through. Whatever controversy, that thing that he says, you know, it's rumored that the AEW locker room was somewhat embarrassed about the situation, but you know, Eric Bischoff talking to him. You got Jonathan Coachman talking to him, or whatever the case may be on social media. Excuse me. My thing is this. Didn't Eric Bischoff call out Vince McMahon on national television? Live TV? Like, called him out. Now, as a fan, I was thoroughly entertained by that. I didn't give a damn about how professional he was. I didn't give a shit. I was eyes in. I was watching every week to see if Vince McMahon was going to pull up on Monday Nitro to address Eric Bischoff, because as loose cannon as Vince McMahon is, I wouldn't put it past him to pull up at WCW. I didn't understand the legalities of it when I was watching it Nitro at the time. I was entertained. Why is that different than what Tony Khan was doing when he was on social media? People were so concerned with numbers and ratings. You can't even enjoy a wrestling show for what it is, because you're concerned with what the promoter's doing, how professional it is. Who set that standard of professionalism? Who does that? You know what I'm saying? Now, he says, hey, Jinder Mahal comes from a losing record, just pulls up out of nowhere and gets an automatic title shot against Seth Rollins. Was he lying? He was speaking facts. I love Jinder Mahal, okay? I love Jinder Mahal. I feel like he's the perfect heel. I feel like when he did that shocker against Randy Orton, when he beat Randy Orton for the title, I feel like that was a breath of fresh air, because he was a heel. Now, did it resonate with the crowd? It didn't. But my personal opinion, I like Jinder Mahal as a heel. And I feel like in some cases they failed him, and he just never truly got over. I think what Tony Khan did on social media actually helped Jinder Mahal and made him more over than he ever been in his career. But he was speaking facts though. He like, well, here comes Hook, which was funny though, because now that he brought back the ranking system, Hook was 28-1. So by record, he was supposed to be the #1 contender, right? He only lost one match in the past couple years. So by all intents and purposes, he is the #1 contender. So it made sense now after the fact. But, you know, when you look at Hook, Jinder Mahal recited, who the fuck is Hook? Right? And then he quickly deleted the tweet, obviously. But then, you know, a lot of people was critiquing that match with Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins. Now, my thought process was that Damian Priest was going to cash in his Money in the Bank. But that didn't take place. It was just a regular match, where at this point, Seth Rollins is injured, possibly has a slim chance of making it to WrestleMania. So what was the freaking purpose of this match? You just fumbled the bag with Seth Rollins. I mean, at any point in time, any performer can get injured. It happens. It happens. It ain't Jinder's fault. It's not Seth Rollins' fault. That's just what it is. But at least have something happen. Let Jinder be the catalyst on Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank. Whether he passed or failed to cash in, that remains to be seen. It was just a match which he came up short. It was just a regular match. Nothing else crazy. Nothing else crazy with that. But look at that Hook and Samoa Joe match. 9 minutes of mayhem. Samoa Joe looked like a straight dog out there. A straight monster. But both guys won. That particular main event told a story that Hook, if you was following Hook, because some of these people that had so much stuff to say about what Tony Khan had to say, don't even follow Hook. Never seen any of his matches or any of that shit. They just had something snarky to say because it's TK, because they don't personally like TK. I don't care if Seth Rollins were wrestling a broomstick. If he had something to say about that broomstick, they would have jumped on Tony Khan for like, nah, don't hinder the broomstick. The broomstick is so over. They will say some shit like that just because of Tony Khan, because it's the popular thing to do. But what happened on Monday night proved Tony Khan right. No matter which way you slice it, no matter if you like the man or you dislike the man, don't even matter. You proved the man right. Because what Hook did in 9 minutes was more than what that main event did whatever time that they had. I analyzed both matches. Hook is a certifiable badass. That is Taz's son. He has suplexed people that was bigger than him. He has choked out people that was bigger than him. He is a smaller version of Samoa Joe. And so when they got into this ring against each other, Samoa Joe was dominating most of this. And you thinking this is a squash match. This is what's going to happen. But what that match reminded me of was Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin never tapped out. He just bled. Hook never tapped out. He just passed out. That's the best you could do with Hook. And then after the fact, he still got up and asked for more. And it's like, no matter what you do to me, I'ma still get back up. I am the Terminator. I'ma keep coming for you. That's it. Muscle buster. Don't worry about it. You choke me out, I'ma still get up within seconds. You better run. That's what you gotta do when you're coming up against me, Hook. The promos that he did prior to this match, whoever did that film or the New York shots or whatever the case may be, where he just cut promos all over New York City in the snow, genius work, because he literally was promoting this match the entire week. Made us hype for that. And that main event delivered everything and more. There's some things I probably would have changed. Like I would have changed, like Taz probably would have come in and check on his son, because everybody knows that's Taz's son, but Taz is a tough father. You know what I mean? That's what he does. So he's like, you get up, son. That's my son. That's what he does. He is a badass. He's proven that he's a badass. He gets a rough from Hangman Adam Page, and that's what it is. Which brought back this AEW Resurgence, like that feeling, like the Dynamite with the women. Like, have you noticed the women are getting more camera time? The women are getting more hard hitting. Queen Aminata, yo, let's talk about it. Like, look, like every single week she's getting better. She's getting better and better and better. Thunder Rosa, she's back. Mercedes Moné, rumored to be there. You know what I'm saying? Mariah May, she's up in the building. Like, there's other female wrestlers that might be interested in this, but this women's roster is showing up and showing out. Chris Statlander, you got Willow, Julia Hart, Toni Storm doing some of her best work of her career, man. Like, telling stories. One of the critiques that AEW has always gotten is that they don't have long-term storytelling, long-term booking, or short-term booking. They just put together matches, and that's what it is, which is fact. It is fact. Sometimes Tony Khan just put matches together, and they're like, you're blowing your wad early. You're jumping the shark on it. Like, you just tell a story. We know the match is there, but give us some story time for us to get to that point. So when this match finally happens, it's 10 times better than what it is than when you put it together just on a random Wednesday night. You got Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland is out here doing the Cope Open. Now, he had his match against Christian. Won, did come up short 11 seconds later, but don't matter because he got the Cope Open, which he's actually bringing young talent in. Young talent is actually challenging him one-on-one, and it's showcasing their individual abilities against a Hall of Famer and bringing some of the best stuff out of Adam Copeland too. There is a difference between Adam Copeland and Edge, because I feel like this Adam Copeland here, like the real guy, this is a man that's just having fun with what he's doing. He's loving professional wrestling. He's loving the crowd. It's just a different vibe. And that's some genius work from him as a performer, because you separated Edge from Adam Copeland, and these are two different individuals, and you can surely tell with what's going on. And you got the Cope Open, and man, it's just great to see young talent get showcased through and through and through. And his next match is against Minoru Suzuki, which obviously that is very interesting to me, because Suzuki has a certain style where he just chop your chest and chop your chest and chop your chest, and that is always entertaining. But how would he fare against someone like Adam Copeland? That's going to be something to see. Rewind back to Samoa Joe and Hook. The whole match itself was a story about a man that refused to go down no matter what you do to him. And then after the match, he still got up. And then you got Hangman Page come in there. Then you got Swerve looking at Samoa Joe, because listen, bro, we're gunning for you. We're here to challenge you for your AEW World Championship. That's what this is. Samoa Joe is a killer, but he's a professional killer. That's his persona. To me, he's a professional killer. So now, if Okada comes to AEW and Mercedes Moné comes to AEW, I mean, that Forbidden Door situation, is it really the Forbidden Door now? Because, you know, most of the heavy hitters for New Japan Pro Wrestling is in the AEW, right? And I did see Ibu for Wrestling Purists actually suggested that why wouldn't you bring CMLL or AAA? The Forbidden Door don't always have to be New Japan Pro Wrestling. Won't you bring all those promotions in there? And then you truly will have a Forbidden Door, because you have other promotions come in at this particular pay-per-view, because WWE would never do something like that. That is your advantage, AEW. Stick to your guns. Whatever you're doing here in 2024, keep doing it. The ranking system is back. Greatness is back. Now you get to see other characters in the mix. Pac was backstage at Dynamite, and he is in working shape. Pac is coming back. So what does that mean for the landscape of tag team wrestling? Because now you legitimately got tag teams, because that was another complaint. I feel like tag teams is just falling by the wayside just a little bit. Even though you got my boy Ricky Starks and Big Bill as the tag team champions, I got a feeling that what's going to happen is Sting and Darby Allin is going to take those tag titles away from those guys, and the Young Bucks is going to retire Sting and become the tag team champions once again, and they will have a lengthy run no matter who they face going forward. And whoever going to beat them for them tag team titles is going to mean something. I feel like the Bucks will have those tag titles for a year. I truly feel like they're going to have it for a long time, unless you got the Undisputed Kingdom breathing down your neck. Unless you got those boys coming. Unless you got those boys jumping together. Now, the one thing I am questioning right now is the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. You got Bullet Club Gold and the Acclaimed. They join forces. What does this mean exactly? Because you got two separate trios championships or champions with each other. Unless there's going to be some type of betrayal down the road where you fight to unite those 6-man championships, because it doesn't really, to be honest with you, you got a 6-man championship in the Ring of Honor roster, right? You got the trio championship in the AEW roster, right? But the trios division is not vast. You have a tag team division, but The trio division is not vast. You got put together trios and you know, see what you got. House of Black. I feel like House of Black did some of their best work as trio champions. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega did what they could do with the trios championships. You got to elevate those trios and 6-man championships. But I don't know how can you do that, because that right there, that's the only hiccup that I do see with what's going on. But everything else, AEW has been firing off on all cylinders, and Tony Khan has been talking real cryptic. Like, he done signed a few people, and it's just a matter of time on when they're going to show up. Will Ospreay, by Dave Meltzer, stated that Will Ospreay will be at AEW's Revolution on March the 3rd. So that's when he will start full time. So you put in Will Ospreay there, man, your roster is fat, cuz. Fat. And at this point, with the acquisitions that you're going to have in 2024, don't add no one else to the roster. That's it. Don't add no one else to the roster right now. Do right by the people that you already have. Elevate those guys and gals that you already have. If anything, if you bring in anybody new to the roster, you bring in more women. The male side is good. It's clean. It's straight. It's good. You bring in more women and let them do cross promotions and do everything else in between. You have enough women to actually do a women's tag team championship. Like, you have enough women to do a Continental Classic. You have enough women to do those things. You have the Ring of Honor TV Women's TV Championship out there for Ring of Honor, which I feel like, you know, Trish Adora, she may be the TV champion one day, but that's what I'm checking. But looking into Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has a partial torn meniscus, ACL, MCL. He's going to miss a considerable amount of time, but it is slated that he will be ready by Mania time. Now, with the injury that severe, my estimate is whoever he faced, whether it is CM Punk or is it Gunther or whatever the case may be, he's going to drop that title to whoever. This year's Royal Rumble is the most unpredictable Royal Rumble in a very long time. Here's why I say this. You got Roman Reigns as your world champion, right? The champion. And which he's breaking records, right? But it's not as much as WWE is touting this, he's on track to break Hulk Hogan's record or whatever the case may be. Does it really mean anything if you're only wrestling like once every 3 months? That's not on average. But I'm just saying. It's rumored that he's even not going to be at Elimination Chamber, which is crazy talk, by the way. But I don't blame them for not having him wrestle at Elimination Chamber now that Seth Rollins is hurt, because you could very well risk an injury for WrestleMania time, and then your whole shit is blown up. So at this point, I don't blame WWE for not putting him on the roster. But that's not impressive to me. I don't feel like that's super impressive to the average wrestling fan, because he's at this point, the last half of these title defenses, he's not really been out there. But he's defending it at Royal Rumble in a Fatal 4-Way match. You got him, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. Yeah. So the Royal Rumble match is unpredictable because you have Cody Rhodes, you have Drew McIntyre, you have CM Punk, possibly The Rock. So Gunther, you don't know who's truly going to win the Royal Rumble. You don't know. Matter of fact, you don't know who's going to be involved at Elimination Chamber either. So that what makes this Royal Rumble very, very, very interesting. With the Women's Royal Rumble, Bayley is the favorite. I can't see no one else winning that Royal Rumble, honestly. Bayley is the favorite for me because of the ongoing subtle storylines that's going on with her and Damage Control, because they're looking to kick her ass out and they're looking to jump her, and and it's going to be a sad situation. Trinity Fatu is done with TNA. She did her farewell speech after her match with Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace is like one of the best women's wrestlers out there in the world today. She gave her farewell speech. And it is rumored that she is going back to WWE. So she's done her time and she's heading back. So I would say look for her to be at this year's Royal Rumble as like a surprise entrant. It's still a chance that Mercedes Moné may show up at the Royal Rumble. Still a chance. We don't know. Nothing is solidified. So, and Tony Khan's not saying anything. And if she is signed, I wouldn't say anything either, because that just ruined the surprise. Because now you know she's gonna pull up at a Dynamite or she's gonna pull up at Collision. No. Let her pull up just randomly. Like let her just show up. So for the men's Royal Rumble, it's gonna be definitely unpredictable on who's gonna win. With the main event of Roman Reigns and in the Fatal 4-Way, I mean, honestly and truly, Roman Reigns is going to win that. That's a no-brainer. The match itself is going to be good. That's going to branch out into other storylines. And who knows, Randy Orton might be in the Royal Rumble after his match. It depends on the match placement. If this takes place before the men's Royal Rumble, you can, I mean, what's to stop AJ Styles, LA Knight, or Randy Orton jumping to the Royal Rumble and get the kicks in? Brock Lesnar's gonna show up. You might have that match that Gunther's been wanting for a long time. You might have that match between Gunther and Brock Lesnar. Finally, you might have that match between Gunther and Seth Rollins. But honestly and truly, I think CM Punk and Seth Rollins is the favorite. Seth Rollins obviously will probably go over considering Seth Rollins' injury. And, you know, you don't want to risk it any further. But that's neither here or there. But check it. That is our news for this week. All of our news for this week. With the exception of Nick Nemeth showing up at TNA. Total nonstop action. That's a great way to start off TNA. Nick Nemeth will do great things at TNA. And you're about to see some banger things. Some banger things. I know people was just speculating that he gonna join AEW and hang out with his brother and become a tag team and stuff like that. But let Nick do his thing. Let Nick do his thing at TNA. But shout out to Nick Nemeth. Shout out to Trinity Fontu for being part of one of the greatest women's rosters in pro wrestling in TNA and just following her dreams. And shout out to Okada. Wherever he lands, he's going to do great. But I'm going to go finish watching the divisional game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. But until next time, y'all, next Sunday, Pro Wrestling Week, whatever's going on that week, we definitely going to cover it on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So until next time, y'all, peace.